A returning character in Star Trek's next show confirms Voyager is the most important series of the TNG era. For years, Star Trek, Voyager occupied a peculiar place in the franchise's sprawling pantheon. While The Next Generation was hailed as the bold successor to the original series and Deep Space Nine lauded for its serialized political storytelling, Voyager often felt like the odd middle child, embraced by some, overlooked by others. Yet now, nearly 30 years since its premiere, the tide is shifting. With a major Voyager character confirmed to return in Star Trek's next show, the series is being repositioned not just as essential, but as the most important bridge between the 24th century Trek universe and what lies beyond. And it's not just nostalgia, it's canon evolution. The return that changes everything. The upcoming Star Trek Starfleet Academy series, set in the post-Picard 25th century, has confirmed the return of none other than Admiral Catherine Janeway, portrayed once again by Kate Mulgrew. Janeway's inclusion doesn't merely function as fan service or a nod to Voyager's legacy. It is a deliberate elevation of her role within the franchise's core mythology. More than that, it's a signal that Voyager's impact has not only endured but intensified. This isn't the first time Janeway has returned. She was an animated force of wisdom in Star Trek Prodigy, a show designed to connect younger audiences with the Star Trek ethos. But Starfleet Academy is different. It's live action. It's canon-defining. And it's centered on the next generation of Starfleet's future. If Janeway is their guide, mentor, or even architect of their education, that's no small thing. It makes Voyager not just a critical chapter of history, but a narrative anchor. Voyager, the sleeper cornerstone of TNG-era Trek. When fans think of the TNG era, they usually consider The Next Generation the foundation, Deep Space Nine the prestige masterpiece, and Voyager the third wheel. But a closer look at Trek's current trajectory reveals that Voyager is, in many ways, the most pivotal. Unlike TNG or DS9, Voyager ventured far beyond known space, exploring the uncharted Delta Quadrant for 7 seasons. The discoveries, technologies, and relationships formed during this journey fundamentally altered the Federation's understanding of the galaxy. Borg technology, transwarp capabilities, and contact with species like the Hirigen and Species 8472 have all found their way into recent storylines. Even Picard Season 3 featured tech and ideas that originated in Voyager. The aftershocks of the USS Voyager's journey are still being felt, and that makes it foundational. Janeway's ascension mirrors the franchise's shift. Janeway's rising prominence isn't accidental. It's a calculated storytelling move that mirrors the franchise's pivot from nostalgia to narrative integration. Patrick Stewart's return as Jean-Luc Picard launched the modern Trek revival, but it also marked the swan song of that generation. With Picard having concluded and Discovery ending, Starfleet Academy becomes the new flagship show. The choice to have Janeway return in this setting is symbolic. Her leadership, forged in the Delta Quadrant, is now the gold standard for Starfleet's future. It's a shift from leadership by example TNG's Picard or by ideology DS9 Cisco to leadership through perseverance and adaptation. Janeway didn't just face threats. She faced isolation, ethical paradoxes, and the loneliness of command in uncharted territory. Her legacy isn't built on diplomacy or prophecy, it's built on hard choices and innovation. That makes her the perfect mentor for a new generation. The legacy of the Voyager crew lives on. It's not just Janeway who's helped elevate Voyager's importance, it's the entire crew. 7 of 9, played by Jerry Ryan, has had one of the most compelling arcs in modern Trek. From her reintroduction in Picard to her appointment as captain of the new Enterprise, G7's journey exemplifies what Voyager stood for: transformation, resilience, and evolution. Moreover, hologram doctor technology, first explored deeply on Voyager, is now a staple in Starfleet. Characters like the EMH paved the way for ideas around artificial intelligence and synthetic life, themes that became central to Picard and likely future Trek installments. Even fan-favorite characters like B'Elanna, Torres, and Tuvok have returned to the screen, reinforcing Voyager's persistent narrative relevance. Voyager's influence in Star Trek Prodigy. While Starfleet Academy is the live-action confirmation of Voyager's importance, Star Trek Prodigy first set the stage. The animated series not only brought back Janeway, but made her the emotional and moral center for a new group of characters. Through her holographic and real-life versions, she modeled Starfleet ideals to those unfamiliar with them. It wasn't TNG's Prime Directive or DS9's diplomacy that reached these new audiences, it was Janeway's compassion and command. The Prodigy cast learned Starfleet values through the Voyager lens, a more exploratory, improvisational, and ethical version of those values. And viewers did too. In doing so, Prodigy made Voyager the gateway trek for a younger generation, solidifying its role as not just relevant, but essential. Why Voyager resonates now more than ever, in an era where Star Trek is increasingly concerned with reimagining its core values for a modern audience, Voyager's themes feel particularly prescient. It wasn't about a well-supplied, centrally located Federation vessel. It was about isolation, about being cut off from support, about how you uphold your values when nobody's watching or when doing so comes at personal cost. This ethical isolation, ironically, makes Voyager the most contemporary Star Trek show of the TNG era. In a fragmented world dealing with disconnection, moral gray zones, and technological upheaval, Voyager's narrative resonates more today than ever. And Starfleet Academy seems poised to explore those very dilemmas. A new generation, a Voyager blueprint, the new class at Starfleet Academy will be inheriting not just Starfleet's legacy, but the lessons of the Delta Quadrant. And that makes Janeway and Voyager more than just elder statesmen or canon legacy. They are the curriculum. From ethics and exploration to the navigation of uncharted space, and from diverse crew dynamics to advanced AI integration, the Voyager experience is a model for the challenges ahead. The very idea that Starfleet would turn to Janeway at this moment in time isn't just flattering, it's prophetic. It suggests that her command represents the blueprint of survival, of exploration, and of growth under impossible conditions. The final confirmation. Voyager is no longer underrated. With Janeway leading the next chapter of Starfleet, 7 of 9 captaining the Enterprise, and Voyager's legacy technology and ideas continuing to ripple across the canon, there's no denying it anymore. Voyager is the most important show of the TNG era. It might not have had the prestige of DS9 or the ratings of TNG, but it had something more enduring, a capacity for evolution. It proved that Starfleet ideals could survive the ultimate test, total disconnection from the Federation itself. That's the kind of test future Trek stories are leaning into. And it's why Voyager is no longer just remembered, it's required viewing. In the Delta Quadrant of legacy, Voyager has arrived. For years, Voyager stood alone, often dismissed or relegated to third best. But now it's clear, it was ahead of its time. The Federation might have turned its back on the USS Voyager during its journey, but in the narrative world of modern Trek, that